Okay, my algebra people, we are going to be skipping a few things and going straight to 3-6. 3-6 before we take our test. Okay, what do arithmetic and linear sequences have in common, right? And we're actually not going to look at series, so we can just ignore that part. Okay, what do they have in common? Well, they have a common difference, or what does that mean? When we see that pattern, that we're looking at how it changes as it goes up, right? So if I see this and it tells me it's a sequence, I would also think that this is a set of points, right? So I'd look at this and how could I figure out what's next? Well, I see that it has a common difference of a positive 5. So I know it's arithmetic or linear. And the common difference is positive 5. If I have another set of numbers, I can see that this does not go up sequentially. It's not arithmetic. In fact, actually, what this is geometric, but we'll talk about that much later in the year. Okay, how do I find an arithmetic sequence? Well, there's a rule for that. Yep, that's how we roll in math. We like to let you know how to get there before we make you get there. It's a roadmap. So we have this a to the nth equals a to the first step plus n minus 1 times d. What are we talking about here? Well, let's define all of our letters. So first take a moment and write all this down. Super important. And then we will label it all. Okay, I'll give you a second to do that. All right, let's label these. So the D stands for common difference. And we just looked at what's the common difference. What is it going up consecutively by? What is it adding or subtracting by, right? What does this N represent? Well, the N means to the nth term. And you might have heard your parents say at some point, scolding or frustrated, saying something's to the nth degree. Well, that's what they're talking about. It means that it's not really defined, but you could figure out what it is. And it means a rule that you could figure out for any step at any time. Now, this a to the little 1 down there, that means it's the first term's value. What is the first number? Basically, what is the value of that? Okay. So that refers also to the 1 over here, because we're talking about the very first step, what's its value, and then what is the actual step number, right? So the step inside the parentheses, what step are we on? But the a to the first is the value of that first step. And the nth just means that of a certain step. Whatever step we want to pick, 10, 12, 5,000, doesn't matter. In your functions that you made for crossing the river, we solved for the 100th, right? Okay, let's find out how do I use that formula that we just looked at. So let's find the term of the 10th in this arithmetic sequence, right? First, we want to find our common difference. Well, actually, first I want to write down my formula again. And then I want to look at my common difference is negative 7. Now, writing down my formula again. Now, I already know what D is, so I can replace the D with negative 7, right? But it tells me I want to find to the 10th term. So I want the value of the 10th, which is the first a to the 10th. I put that there. And then I say that it's going to be to the 10th step, right? So this is the value here that I'm looking at. This is the value of it, whatever number it's going to be. And this is the step number, right? And I already know what the first term value is 32, so I can replace that. And I know what the common difference is. It's negative 7, so I can replace that. And now I only have one variable to solve for, and that's a to the 10th step, so I can solve for it, right? I start PEMDAS, I solve for the parentheses first, and I know that's multiplied by negative 7, right? Yeah, that's multiplied there. So I get 63. I'm subtracting that from 32, so I'll get negative 31 will be the 10th degree, right? Or if I made this little chart and I decided just to start with the first step of 32 and I subtracted 7 all day long till I got to the 10th time I've done it, I can see that it is actually negative 31. So I'm going to now give you some time to solve for this on your own. Okay? So pause the video here and then check your work. Let's see how you did. First let me give you a sequence. Now pause the video and now let's see how you did. Common difference is negative 2, going down by 2 every time. I know the first term, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm solving for the 11th term, but I know the first term is negative 3, and I know my common difference is negative 2. And inside my parentheses, 11 minus 1 is 10, and 10 times negative 2 is negative 20, and negative 20 plus negative 3 is negative 23. Now, what happens if they give us this sequence, but it gives us like a first and a last and then a bunch of missing terms? How do we figure this out? Well, using this is the power of this formula. We can solve for this, right? We can solve for this because I have the first term and I have the last term. I only need 2 terms, 2 steps and 2 terms to solve for the common difference. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and write down my formula, and then I get to pick one of the steps. So, I know the last term, which is the 5th term, right? And I can figure it out. So, how many steps are there in here? Well, we're given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? The last term is 17, and when I count it, I see that there's 5. The first term is 11. How many steps? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know it's 5. Now I can do the math. 5 minus 1 is 4. Now I have 4 times d, and I subtract the 11, getting negative 28 equals 4d. Divide and get d is negative 7. Whoop, whoop. Now I could solve for anything, right? So I could make it really fancy, and I could plug it back into the formula every time, or then I'm going to hit the easy button and just, subtract 7 every time. That makes sense, right? I mean, I could do it this way, right? And plug it in and solve for all these. Hey, I could have just subtracted 7. Yeah, don't get too complicated sometimes. Go ahead and do this. You try. Solve for the missing numbers in this sequence. I'll pause the video here, and then you go ahead and check your work. So I know I have the 1st through the 5th term here. My last term is 0. First term is 2. There's 5 steps total, so 5 minus 1 is 4. Go ahead and solve, and I get that my common difference is negative 1/2. Negative 1/2. And I'm going to hit the easy button. I'm just going to subtract a half. So this will be negative 1 and 1/2, the negative 1, the negative 1/2, and then obviously brings me to 0. All right, we're going to be doing textbook problems here, and I will see you in class tomorrow. Okay, bye.